Deleted session, June 11, 1979. Good evening. The importance of definition is our heading for this evening, at least for a starter. Ideals are vital, for they provide an impetus toward beneficial action. Action that is meant to lead to some actualization of that ideal in fact. An ideal represents events that do not as yet exist in fact. They should serve as plans for concentrated action. Many ideals, however, must remain by their nature somewhat generalized, a matter of inspiration, for example. They cannot perhaps so easily be put into words. Or sometimes the ideal exists simply as a yearning for a better situation, though not immediate steps come to mind that offer any concerted plan for action. The ideal may be specific, then, or ill-defined, and the man's idea of the good varies considerably. The better you can define your idea of the ideal, the better off you are for it. The definition, at least, clears your own mind, and suggests lines of action too. The best idealist is a practical one, someone who realizes that most men like to work with specifics. Many might shy away from any philosophical discussions concerning the nature of the good, but many will also understand and appreciate the meaning of the word better when applied to any situation. Generally speaking, in those terms, the law is wise, for it forces you to make specifications, each one bringing about further definition, so that all parties at least understand the meaning of the terms. You may not achieve ideal solutions with the law, but it should allow practical specific actualization, at least in part, of an ideal situation. You are both quite lucky in that in your main work you can deal directly with the ideal. In writing and in painting you tackle it. The creative artist is always involved in the expression of the ideal, and his work expresses that ideal as best he can. In the manner of publishing or selling paintings, others are involved, others who very rarely in their lives experience that important encounter between, say, the self as actualized and the idealized self, between the painting or the poem as an ideal and the actualization of that ideal. You cannot give such people a general impression of what you want. If you are concerned with such matters as covers that do not live up to your ideals of what covers should be, then you must begin your definitions. Ruber has primarily been concerned with the ideal that is behind all of his books, and with the practical matter of getting those out into the world. He was willing to put up with a good deal to do so, to overlook lacks of taste in presentation. Say, you feel sometimes a visual outrage because your natural ideals tend to follow the design and integrity, the lines and flowing patterns that belong to the nature of the universe. Some part of you feels that when such blatant distortions occur, as sometimes occur in the packaging of the books, that far greater invisible lacks of integrity lie buried within. Now that is true and not true, as you know, for ideally, how marvelous it would be if each person could indeed understand those balances and artistic lacks of balances when they appear. On the other hand, of course, the very individuality implied in art itself tells you that even the ideal must follow its own eccentric patterns, and that man must find his own way out of his lacks. Ralph noted, spelled Lacks. Say said, Ruber, however, would rarely deal with such issues at all, though he was aware of them, so you felt you bore the brunt. You cannot expect Prentice to understand the nature of your own idealism, or Ruber's, in such a way that Prentice, as an entity, can apply that idealism to its packaging. Not unless you define. You specify. You get together, the two of you, on each issue as it happens, and make your decision together and stick by it. You have not done this before because each of you will become irritated at the other's mode of behavior. Ruber felt that your idealism could threaten the practical distribution of the books, so that his idealistic purpose to get those words out could be held back. You felt that the lack of taste and often of artistic integrity was so blatant that it blighted the words themselves, marred the message. Both of you were concerned with the ideal. You felt Ruber was being too practical and would put up with almost anything, and he felt that you were being too impractical at times. Because neither of you really defined and carried through on your definitions, some black or white thinking resulted. It would seem to you that all of the books were marked in that manner now, or it would seem to Ruber that nothing was wrong at all. In that manner, you would find it hard to express pleasure with a given cover, or you would forget, as with 7.2, for its attributes would seem lost in your larger displeasure. Or Ruber, feeling displeasure with Prentice on any occasion, would find it difficult to admit to you. Do not think in terms of a generalized ideal situation, but in terms of better covers, better communication with Prentice in both friendly terms as per Ruber's codes to 10, and in the definitive terms of clearly stating specific requests. Otherwise, neither of you will be satisfied. Other companies may have more money to spend. Prentice is not a great trade publisher. Yet, you will still be dealing with the same kinds of people, and Ruber has done well as far as publishers are concerned, in handling innovative books published by the firm. Some other companies might well have exerted even more pressure to keep Ruber writing along certain proven lines. They were also innovative, in their turns, in the publishing of material before the current interest in unofficial events. Are you ready for the drinks, or do you want a brief break? Ralph said, we can take a break. C said, drink 1 is in answer to Ruber's wondering whether or not it was a good idea to make out a will now, rather than to wait until a later date. Ruber's father always planned to make a new will before his death, and kept putting it off. In a dream, Ruber finds a strange mechanism made by his father that is supposed to dispense some money. A kindly old man appears, who says that Ruber's father made this contraption 2 hours before his death to ensure Ruber some inheritance. Ruber suspects this man of helping himself in somewhat the same manner. In the meantime, in any case, the mechanism deposits a few coins also. There is a missing key, and the old man also possesses one to the mechanism, which he finally gives to Ruber, who then operates it. The odd mechanism represents the mechanics of the law, which his father used poorly, and in fact he died before he had time to make the contraption mentioned in the dream. The coins represent the small amount of money Ruber did receive. The old man also stands for Rupert's father, as Rupert thought of him bumming around, frittering away his time and energy, so he was stealing from the pot. There would be nothing left. Rupert was not greedy, but curious. The missing key represented your lucks. The dream said, do not wait too late to set up the legal mechanism, and affirmed that yield was at least a good idea. The old man also stood for old man time in the dream, and reinstated the fact that an executor is important, for the old man also stood for in the dream now. Rupert's father acting as his own executor, meaning that his nature led him to live and lose. Dream 2 involves two couples, and they are both you and Rupert. You appeared as both young men. Rupert appeared as himself, and as part Norley. The amphitheater stands both for the world and for the dramatic action of your lives, in which your ideals and aspirations are actualized or played out to somewhat extent. The couples show your own double faces. One couple is brave, daring, assured, headed for the center of the stage. The other couple, while headed in the same direction, are frightened of the high ledge that must be covered, and afraid that it can lead to a dead end. Part was chosen symbolically, yet stands for a definite situation. When you two visited Baton until, at that time, Rupert saw Part, who is a teacher, and was traveling through belief systems with the greatest of ease, converting to Judaism and then out of it, and so forth. I spoke on television, and you were both appalled at the gulf between what you saw as the idealized message of our work and the ludicrous lack of integrity of the environment in which that ideal was expressed. I am referring to the other performance, etc., the circumstances which you know well. While still devoted to the ideal, you were both quite appalled. Simplistically speaking, the brave portions of your personalities went on helping each other, as per the dream, until Pat Norley, as Rupert, easily walking through belief systems, stands center stage, ready to speak to other frightened portions of yourselves still on a higher ledge. They begin to realize that everything is all right. They can come down or join the other couple. To do so, however, they must back down through previous limiting beliefs, and had you not wakened Rupert, the four of you would have joined each other on the stage. Rupert was correct in what he picked up from me today, concerning both your drugs and nationalized medicine, and some of its effect upon the poor. If it were established, at the very least, you should have your rugs cleaned, even if you are grumpy, both of you, for a day, since you are obviously spoiled now and afraid of cold, bare floors. Do you have questions? Ross said no. They said I tried my best to define and redefine your ideas of the ideal, so that you can achieve greater practical benefits and feel some satisfaction with the actualization of at least portions of the ideal in daily life, and of session and a found good evening. Ross said, thank you, Seth.